then why is it that they can do it and no American investor can? It doesn't make any sense at all. And so if those assets are things that we can say that we know we can, then there's definitely going to be a U.S. buyer. My guess is that what's going on is that Nippon Steel, which has got a lot of trade actions against it for dumping behavior of the U.S., wants to solve its legal trouble in the U.S. by buying U.S. Steel and then having U.S. Steel withdraw a whole bunch of complaints. And so you can see why they might be the high bidder, but they're not necessarily the only ones that can make these great American steel workers successful again.
Well, critics are saying that we'll be, they'll be playing right into the hands of the Chinese, though, right? If it doesn't go through. I don't understand that argument very well, because China has already begun to dominate the global market on steel, and that's courtesy of globalization, the cheap cold-rolled steel that made its way into the United States. But didn't we learn this in World War II, that we had to have the capacity to ramp up our manufacturing in order to win the war? That was one of the early lessons of the war.
Right. Everybody says that the U.S. defeated Hitler because of our production. We just outproduced what Germany was capable of. And if you go back and look and say, well, what production was it? Then it was actually steel. I mean, this is a thing that we studied. And as you know, I'm not Mr. Tariff. I think President Trump is more Mr. Tariff than I am. But in the end, the steel arguments I found very persuasive because of the national security issue.
Kevin, meanwhile, Kamala has another new economic plan, and she announced it today. Watch.
We're going to help more small businesses and innovators get off the ground. We will expand the tax deduction for startups to
Don't stop!
It's essentially a tax cut for starting a small business.
Kevin, is this going to be the juggernaut that we need to get our economy going? Higher taxes and more spending. Didn't we try that already?
Well, first of all, the one thing I got to say is that Vice President Harris supports the end of the small business deduction that we passed in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. That's a tax hike, I looked at the numbers today, on 25.9 million business owners in the U.S. So she's having this big tax hike on the 25.9 business owners that exist. And then she wants to give a credit to people who started business. But guess what? It's another plagiarized policy. In 2018, President Trump supported and it passed the House without any Democratic support. Tim Walz, by the way, didn't show up for the vote. He supported a $20,000 credit for small businesses to start.
Well, Kevin, we will, I'm sure, have Kamalanomics 3.0 released very soon, and we'll have you back. Thanks so much. All right, is the left's Kamala fever, though, beginning to cool? New polling suggests that she should stop taking certain groups for granted. Which ones are they? That's next.
Truck drivers, you deserve to drive for a reliable carrier.